The office was always busy at 8:30 a.m., a buzz of keyboards and coffee-fueled chatter filling the air. Emma sat at her desk, near the window, pretending to concentrate on a spreadsheet she hadn't touched in 10 minutes. Her eyes, however, drifted toward the far corner of the room, where Lucas, her co-worker, was leaning over a desk, explaining something to the intern. Lucas was everything Emma told herself she wasn't interested in. Charming, with an easy laugh and an unpolished confidence that came across as arrogant if you didn't know him well. But Emma knew him better than most. In the past 2 years of working together, she had memorized the subtle details of his mannerisms, the way his fingers tapped against his coffee cup during meetings, the slight tilt of his head when he listened, and the rare unguarded moment when his sharp wit softened into genuine kindness. She caught herself staring for too long and turned back to her computer, cheeks warming. Stop it, she thought. He's just a co-worker. Harmless admiration. But her imagination didn't care for rules. In her daydreams, Lucas wasn't just a colleague. He was the star of her carefully constructed fantasies. She imagined him stopping by her desk, leaning casually against the edge, with that trademark half smile. "Emma," he'd say, voice low enough for only her to hear. "You've been working too hard. Let me take you out for lunch." She'd protest, of course, playing coy, but he'd insist. And soon they'd find themselves at a cozy cafe where the conversation would flow effortlessly. In this dream, Lucas wasn't just witty. He was attentive, his gray eyes fixed on her like she was the only person in the world. But it didn't stop there. Sometimes her mind wandered to the moments after work. The two of them walking to their cars, rain slightly falling and Lucas offering to share his umbrella. She'd laugh and accept, their shoulders brushing as they navigated the wet pavement. And then, under the flickering streetlight, he'd pause, turning to her with a look that melted every last shred of her resolve. Emma, he'd whispered. "I've been wanting to do this for a while." His lips would meet hers, warm and soft. And Emma! Her name snapped her back to reality. She blinked and looked up to find Lucas standing in front of her, a folder in his hand. "You okay?" he asked, eyebrows raised in mild amusement. Yeah." She fumbled with her mouse, closing the spreadsheet she hadn't actually worked on. "Just, numbers." "Right," he said, smiling. "Can you take a look at these reports before the 11 a.m. meeting? I need a second pair of eyes." "Sure, no problem." She reached out to take the folders, her fingers brushing his briefly. It was nothing, a completely innocent accidental touch. But her skin tingled like it had been set on fire. "Thanks," he said, his gaze lingering just a second longer than necessary before he walked back to his desk. Emma exhaled, sinking back into her chair. She stared at the folder in her hands, her heart beating faster than it should have been. "Get a grip," she told herself, but it was impossible. Every word he'd spoken, every fleeting look replayed in her mind like a loop. She opened the folder, forcing herself to focus, but her thoughts betrayed her again. What if that lingering look wasn't just her imagination? What if he felt it too? The magnetic pull, the unspoken tension that hung between them in every interaction. The thought was as thrilling as it was terrifying. Emma closed the computer and pressed her palms to her cheeks, willing the heat to subside. She needed coffee, something to snap her out of this ridiculous infatuation. As she stood and walked to the break room, she caught a glimpse of Lucas at his desk, typing away, oblivious to the hurricane of emotions he'd stirred in her. He's just a coworker, she reminded herself, but deep down, she wasn't sure how much longer she can keep pretending that that was all he was.